Well, at 10 p.m. we can see a man walking down towards the sea, a white man in his 30s with brown hair, and in his arms is a child, 3 to 4 years of age, blonde hair, wearing pajamas. Very close description to that of Madeleine McCann. Two efforts that have never been in the public domain of this one individual. Really important for us to understand who he is.
Oh, a male.
And just describe that individual.
It's about probably 5'8" tall. He was taller than me, but not 6 foot, and so between those two. He was wearing quite a lot of clothes, and that's one thing in hindsight again.
On the 3rd of May 2007, in the Portuguese resort of Praia da Luz, Kate McCann walks into her family's holiday apartment to check on her children. 3-year-old Madeleine's bed is empty. Kate's scream shatters the tranquil night. Madeleine is gone. A chaotic search erupts. But as we stand in 2025, the case remains a profound and haunting mystery. The prime suspect, Christian Bruckner, approaches his potential release from prison. What might he know? Where is Madeleine? Before we analyze the suspicions in the case, please tell me where you saw this video from. I will read it all and spread it to the world. For years, the world's attention was fixed on the missing child. Now, it pivots towards the man who might hold the key. The disappearance of Madeleine McCann was once a story of loss, of a vanished child and a family frozen in an endless moment of grief. Details like the unlocked door and the 30-minute gap in checks have been scrutinized relentlessly. But in 2025, that familiar narrative was fractured, not by new DNA or a confession, but by a film, Madeleine McCann. Inside the Secret Evidence, a documentary released by The Sun in June 2025, didn't solve the case, but it fundamentally shifted its focus. Drawing on material from a 2016 police raid in Braunschweig, Germany, the film unveiled a disturbing collection. Dozens of USB drives, handwritten narratives detailing the capture of children, photographs, and witness accounts that investigators had been quietly compiling for years. For the first time, the public saw what the police had been piecing together: a pattern, a profile, and a name. Christian Bruckner. He wasn't a suspect in 2007. He wasn't interviewed, questioned, or even noticed. But when German prosecutors officially named him as a person of interest in 2020, and details from that 2016 raid began to surface, the world looked again. His location near the Ocean Club on the night Madeleine vanished, his vehicle moved just days later, his own writings describing control, unsettling methods of subduing a child, and a blonde 4-year-old. This was not rumor. It was documented. The evidence remains circumstantial, yet it is undeniably haunting. The documentary added a heavy emotional weight to these facts. It brought to light a chilling anecdote from a 2008 music festival, where a friend recalled Bruckner remarking, "She didn't scream," before fleeing the conversation. It revisited the storage devices found buried beneath the remains of a dog, the child-sized swimwear, the self-portraits in balaclavas. It gave a terrifying shape to a fear many had held, that someone with his history could have been so close, so completely unnoticed. Yet, no charges have ever been filed in connection with Madeleine's disappearance. For every disturbing detail, there is a missing link. If you were attempting to decode this case, how would you weigh this kind of evidence? The narrative has changed. We are no longer just tracing the steps of a missing child. We are now tracing the life of a man who may hold the answer. To understand the investigation today, we must return to that spring of 2007. Kate and Jerry McCann, both 39-year-old doctors from England, arrived at the Ocean Club Resort in Praia da Luz with their 3 children. Madeleine, almost 4, had a rare coloboma in her right eye, a distinctive mark that would soon become a tragically iconic detail. The family joined a group of close friends who would become known as the Tapas 7, settling into a relaxed holiday routine. Beach days, shared evening meals, and a simple check-in system for their sleeping children every half hour. Trust came easily. The resort felt quiet, safe, familiar. So safe, in fact, that the balcony door to apartment 5A was often left unlocked during dinner, allowing the parents to slip in silently for quick checks on their children. No one questioned it. No alarms were raised. At 8:30 p.m. on May 3rd, a friend completes a check. All is well, but it seems someone else was watching. At 10 p.m., Kate McCann rises from the tapas table, the soft clinking of glasses and murmured conversation fading as she walks the familiar 50 meters back to the apartment. The resort is still, the night air calm. She enters through the balcony door, still unlocked, and steps into the dim quiet. The twins are asleep in their cots, their breathing steady. But when she turns to Madeleine's bed, her heart stops. The blanket is pushed back. The favorite cuddle cat toy is gone. The bed is empty. For a moment, confusion gives way to a sharp, rising dread. She whispers her daughter's name, then searches the apartment, the bathroom, the closet, under the bed. No trace. Panic floods her, and the words tear from her throat with a desperation that will echo through the years. Madeleine's gone. Someone's taken her. The scream slices through the night. Back at the restaurant, chairs scrape, glasses clatter. Jerry runs first, the Tapas 7 close behind. They find Kate frantic, searching again and again, hoping it's a terrible mistake. Jerry checks the balcony, the garden, calling Madeleine's name into the dark. The group fans out, torchlight cutting through the resort's pathways and hedges as other guests, drawn by the commotion, join the search. Staff comb through stairwells and storage rooms. The pool is checked, but the child with the coloboma in her eye is nowhere. Kate clutches her daughter's blanket, her body trembling with shock. The twins, impossibly, remain asleep, untouched by the chaos. The thoughtful routine, the 30-minute checks, the short walk, the unlocked door, now twists into a knot of agonizing regret. The night, once filled with light and laughter, has turned cold and terrifying. The apartment is no longer a sanctuary. It is a crime scene. Within the hour, the wail of police sirens cuts through the silence. Officers from the Policia Judiciaria step into apartment 5A. The unlocked balcony door, swinging slightly in the breeze, is one of the first things they notice. A chilling detail, suggesting an intruder entered while the parents dined just meters away. But by the time police arrive, the scene is already compromised. Dozens of well-meaning people have trampled through, disastrous for any forensic integrity. Evidence, if it ever existed, is being smeared away by panic. Officers begin questioning Kate and Jerry. The tone is clinical. Kate answers through tears, explaining the bedtime routine. Jerry walks them through the timings, the distance from table to door, but the officers' questions sharpen. Why leave the door unlocked? Why not take turns eating inside? The McCanns, crushed by fear, insist the resort felt safe, until it wasn't. Outside, the initial search is fragmented. Guests and staff scatter across the grounds. Police bring dogs, but too late. Crucially, no roadblocks are set up, no cars are stopped. The first golden hours are slipping away. The Tapas 7 join the search, their confidence in the check-in system cracking under the weight of what-ifs. Kate clutches Madeleine's blanket like a lifeline. Jerry paces, demanding answers, but there are no leads, No ransom note, no forced entry. Just an empty bed, a door left open, and a child gone without a sound. Dawn breaks on May 4th, but it brings no peace. The Ocean Club echoes with tension. The Policia Judiciaria arrive in greater numbers, their presence more visible, but still uncoordinated. Apartment 5A is swarmed, but it is not secured. There is no perimeter, no control. Guests, staff, and friends move in and out, their footsteps and touch slowly erasing any vital evidence, fingerprints, fibers, scent, in a catastrophic failure of protocol. The officers don't dust for prints immediately. The scene is slipping through their fingers. Search dogs are finally brought in. They follow Madeleine's scent through the garden to a nearby car park where it stops cold, suggesting a vehicle was used. But still, no roadblocks are ordered, no border alerts issued. Kate and Jerry find themselves in a stark, fluorescent-lit room. Their grief is raw, but it's now being dissected. The questions harden. Why was the door unlocked? Who decided on the check-in system? Kate explains again, her voice brittle. The resort felt safe. Jerry recalls the 9 p.m. check. Madeleine was asleep, tucked in. But doubt is creeping in. The Tappers 7 are called in one by one. They confirm the routine. 8:30 p.m., all well. 9 o'clock p.m. Jerry saw Madeleine asleep. 10 p.m. Kate found the bed empty. But that half-hour gap becomes a wedge. Under pressure, memories can blur. Kate is asked flatly if she and Jerry had argued, if the children had been sedated. The insinuation is a slap. They can see it now. The investigation has turned. The Portuguese police, unaccustomed to such a media frenzy, begin to look not outward, but inward, at the parents. The cultural gap widens. The unlocked door, once a matter of convenience, becomes the cornerstone of blame. Kate and Jerry plead for the focus to remain on finding their daughter. But suspicion, once planted, rarely fades. As the interviews drag on, it becomes clear they have not only lost a child, but are also losing control of the narrative. A choice made in trust has turned into a liability, dissected by strangers. As the formal investigation stalls, theories begin to swirl. The most immediate is abduction by a stranger, who slipped in during the check-in gap. The unlocked door, the lack of struggle, the sleeping twins. It all points to a swift, practiced intrusion. But who? Without witnesses or surveillance footage, the theory remains a ghost. And then there's the silence. No ransom note, no demands. A second theory suggests Madeleine wandered off through the unlocked door, meeting with a tragic accident. Police scour the area, but find nothing. Then comes the most controversial possibility, that the parents know more than they are admitting, that something happened inside the apartment. Officers, frustrated and under media scrutiny, circle inward. The check-in system, the walk to dinner, all now seem suspect. The McCanns are horrified, their pain exposed and endless, but their grief is no longer enough to shield them. The apartment offers nothing, no foreign fingerprints, no DNA. The scent trail ends. Theories breed in the void. Abduction, accident, cover-up. Each feels more desperate than the last. With every passing hour, the truth feels further away. By May 5th, the quiet town of Praia da Luz is unrecognizable. It has become a press battleground. News vans clog the roads, their satellite dishes like vultures circling a wound. Reporters from across the globe descend, their cameras trained unblinking on apartment 5A. Madeleine's face, her soft blonde hair, her wide gaze, the unique coloboma in her right eye, explodes across every screen and headline. In hours, she becomes a global phenomenon. Kate and Jerry are thrust into a relentless spotlight, their faces etched with an anguish that is now public property. The media storm is immediate. Sympathy swells, but suspicion follows close behind. The unlocked door becomes fodder for headlines. Their every move is scrutinized, their grief dissected for millions. That tiny, unique mark in their daughter's eye, once known only to family, is now the most recognizable feature in the world. Sensational theories erupt. The press fills the void with narrative, not fact. The Tapas 7, once just holiday companions, are dragged into the feeding frenzy, their parenting, their routines, their very body language put on trial, are analyzed on primetime television. The media begins to warp the investigation itself. Leaks appear, half-truths, misquotes, alleged sightings in Spain, in Morocco, in Australia. The Portuguese police, already under strain, are battered by international criticism. Their delays and mistakes are magnified, their competence questioned, their silence portrayed as failure. And amid this storm stand Kate and Jerry McCann, who once believed their daughter's story would be handled with care. Now, microphones are thrust in their faces, cameras chase them through crowds, and every tear, every pause, every word is mined for meaning. Praia da Luz has become a stage, a spectacle. And while the image of Madeleine spreads to every corner of the globe, the truth about what happened to her remains buried beneath the noise. The line between awareness and exploitation blurs, and the very force that could help bring her home becomes the storm that threatens to consume everything in its path. The public's reaction is immediate and, in many quarters, merciless. Within days, Kate and Jerry McCann become household names, their faces etched into the global consciousness alongside their missing daughter. But with the spotlight comes judgment. The unlocked balcony door becomes a lightning rod for millions watching around the world. How could they leave her alone? Becomes a rallying cry across online forums and television phone-ins. The couple's decision to dine just 50 meters away is no longer a footnote. It is dissected and criticized. The Tapas 7, once invisible friends in the background, are pulled to the forefront, cast as accomplices to neglect. Their parenting is questioned, their check-in system mocked as naive and careless. It doesn't matter that Praia da Luz had a low crime rate, or that they believed it was safe. A court of public opinion has already reached its verdict. For Kate, the condemnation is sharper. As the mother, her tearful public appeals, clutching Madeleine's blanket, are met with both heartbreak and suspicion. Some see a grieving woman. Others interpret staged emotion. Jerry, more controlled in public, becomes a different kind of target. His composure is mistaken for coldness, his rational tone spun into detachment. The cultural divide deepens, British informality clashing with different expectations of parental protection. The once simple holiday turns into a life sentence of scrutiny. The unlocked door, left open for convenience, becomes a metaphor for everything the world believes went wrong. The absence of evidence only deepens the noise, and in the silence, people build their own versions of the truth. What began as a tragedy is now a debate, a battleground reflecting a societal hunger to assign blame when answers are out of reach. In the center of it all stand two parents, not only grieving the loss of a child, but being forced to defend their right to grieve at all. The search for Madeleine McCann begins with urgency and grows into something colossal. By May 5, 2007, Praia da Luz is no longer just a town, it is a grid to be scoured. Police lead the charge, but soon volunteers arrive. Locals, tourists, strangers moved by the face, now staring out from posters on every shop window and bus stop. Her coloboma, that rare mark in her right eye, becomes a beacon, a detail no one can forget. Search parties fan out across beaches, ravines, and abandoned buildings, forming human chains along the coastline. The dog's scent trail leads from the apartment to a church car park, then vanishes as if she was swallowed by the night. That clue suggests a vehicle, an exit, a plan. But no one saw a thing. The early errors, no roadblocks, no forensic lockdown, no border alerts, have already buried the chance for a swift reaction. Kate and Jerry take their pain to the airwaves. Kate clutches Madeleine's blanket, her voice shaking as she pleads, "Please, if you have her, let her go." Jerry, beside her, tries to steady the message, but his composure fractures, and the world watches a man unravel. Tips flood in, sightings in Morocco, whispers in Spain, a girl with a British accent in Australia. Each one is followed by a flicker of hope, and each one dies in silence. Losing faith in the official efforts, the McCanns hire private investigators. Meanwhile, the Find Madeleine campaign grows. Posters are translated into dozens of languages, a website is launched, and donations pour in. Yet through it all, nothing is found. Not a shoe, not a strand of hair, not a trace. The resort that once promised sunshine is now a landscape of grief and confusion. Each day that ends without her return is another blow, and the world slowly realizes the unthinkable. That a 3-year-old girl may have vanished without leaving even a shadow. Christian Bruckner was born in 1976 in southern Germany. As a teenager, he began showing signs of antisocial behavior that later escalated into a documented pattern of criminal activity. In 1994, at just 18, Bruckner left Germany for Portugal, settling in the Algarve region. There, he lived in and around resort towns, working intermittently as a handyman. Over the years, police records from both Germany and Portugal would link him to a series of offenses, including burglary and drug possession. Authorities described him as someone capable of operating under the radar, often without a fixed address. People who crossed his path recalled two very different sides: a sociable figure in public and a more volatile personality in private. This duality, investigators later noted, made him difficult to track. He often targeted holiday homes, timing his break-ins for the evening when occupants were away. Despite multiple arrests, he maintained a transient lifestyle, and some allegations against him were dropped or expired, allowing him to remain largely unprosecuted for long stretches. His knowledge of the Algarve, especially the tourist zones around Lagos, was extensive. It wasn't until years later that Bruckner would be publicly identified as a person of interest in the 2007 disappearance of a young British child. As of 2025, he has not been formally charged in connection with that case and maintains his innocence. By 2005, the German man was living on the outskirts of Praia da Luz. At 29, he drifted between temporary jobs and a string of minor offenses. His modest apartment, tucked away from the main tourist streets, became his base. Close enough to observe, distant enough to hide. Later, investigative records describe his activities as deliberate. At night, he reportedly moved through the resort like a shadow, targeting vulnerable holiday homes. In 2005, a serious assault occurred in the Praia da Luz area, involving an elderly woman in her residence. The case remained unsolved for years, but its proximity and methodology later drew the attention of investigators examining the broader pattern of offenses involving the same individual. In 2007, when the McCann family arrived for their holiday, he was still living in the region. On the evening of May 3rd, the night Madeleine disappeared, mobile phone data reportedly placed his device near the Ocean Club resort. Records showed he received a call around 7:30 p.m., connecting to a mast located close to the McCann's apartment. The timing and location would become a key detail. At the time, however, this information went unnoticed. He left the area not long after Madeleine's disappearance, and for years his name was absent from the investigation. It wasn't until 2020 that German prosecutors officially named him a suspect. By 2008, Bruckner had left Portugal and resurfaced in the northern German city of Braunschweig. At 32, he purchased a disused industrial property, an abandoned box factory surrounded by overgrown fields. He lived out of a camper van parked on site, converting the property into a private compound. Graffiti on one of the crumbling interior walls reportedly read, "My girlfriend lied to me, cheated on me, and made me hate." In 2016, police executed a search warrant at the industrial site. According to reports, the search was triggered after a local resident's dog unearthed a bag containing wallets, storage devices, and other materials buried nearby. The raid revealed multiple data drives, children's items such as clothing and toys, and unregistered firearms. Among the writings, investigators reportedly found references to specific locations in southern Portugal, including a remote reservoir known as the Arade Dam. A Jaguar vehicle previously associated with him was also recovered. Records showed it had been transferred shortly after May 3rd, 2007. While no direct evidence linked these discoveries to Madeleine's case, the findings raised serious questions. Some of the digital files recovered contained images considered disturbing by prosecutors, but officials emphasized none provided a direct link. Still, the 2016 search cast a wider light on the suspect's lifestyle. In the years that followed, German prosecutors deepened their investigation, citing what they called concrete evidence, connecting him to the night of Madeleine's disappearance. In May 2023, the Arade Dam, an isolated reservoir about an hour's drive from Praia da Luz, became the focus of a large-scale police operation. The location was not random. Christian Bruckner was known to have visited the dam frequently, allegedly referring to it as his little paradise. Data recovered from a vehicle linked to him suggested it was near the site shortly after Madeleine was reported missing. For several days, investigators dug trenches, took soil samples, and deployed divers into the dark water. They hoped to find crucial evidence, clothing, personal belongings, anything that could be forensically linked to Madeleine. But by the end of the search, no breakthrough was announced. The dam, once thought to be a quiet refuge, revealed nothing concrete. Its silence deepened the frustration of an investigation spanning years and borders. With the suspect's potential release from a German prison for unrelated offenses looming in 2025, the search at the dam ended as it began, with more questions than answers. On June 3rd, 2025, the Algarve once again became the center of quiet tension. A new search began, this time in the dusty hills of Aldeagal, a rugged stretch of farmland just 1.5 kilometers from Praia da Luz. The operation focused on properties once inhabited by Christian Bruckner. Locals had long referred to an isolated path behind the properties as the Rat Trail, a place rarely used, overgrown, and hidden from view. For investigators, it represented one of the last viable chances to find physical evidence before the suspect's projected release. The operation spanned 3 days. Ground-penetrating radar units, swept beneath the dry soil, searching for anomalies. Excavators dug through thick layers of earth, and firefighters assisted by draining wells. The urgency was clear. This may have been the final opportunity to recover a clue before all options run out. By June 5th, the operation winds down quietly. No press conference is held. Portuguese authorities release a brief statement thanking their German counterparts and confirming the collection of several items for forensic testing. Unofficial reports mention animal bones among the findings, but nothing is confirmed, and nothing suggests a breakthrough. For many observers, the search echoes the disappointment of the 2023 operation at the Arada Dam, which also ended without conclusive results. Bruckner's proximity to the Ocean Club in 2007 had placed him within walking distance of where Madeleine was last seen, but without new forensic evidence, the theory remains speculative. As of June 2025, Madeleine McCann remains missing. She would be 22 years old now. With each passing month, the window for answers narrows, and the burden of an unresolved truth grows heavier. In June 2025, The Sun releases a documentary titled Madeleine McCann, Inside the Secret Evidence, reigniting global attention. The program focuses heavily on the 2016 search of a disused factory in Braunschweig, Germany, previously occupied by Christian Bruckner. The film presents new footage and commentary, revealing disturbing items recovered during that raid. Children's clothing, bikes, preschool toys, and a black balaclava. One suitcase reportedly contained photographs and a well-worn address book. While none of these materials have been publicly confirmed to relate directly to Madeleine's disappearance, their discovery widened the inquiry into Bruckner's past. The documentary also highlights journals and notes, some containing unsettling fictional scenarios. In one passage, a man writes about subduing individuals and mentions a child with blonde hair. While these writings cannot be verified as factual, prosecutors have acknowledged their relevance. Another name, Inga, is referenced with the phrase, "I'm in paradise," which some interpret as a possible link to the Arada Dam, a location Bruckner reportedly described with similar words. Another segment focuses on a 2008 encounter at a music festival in Spain. Helge, a former acquaintance, recounts an unsettling comment allegedly made when Madeleine's case came up. According to Helge, Bruckner's cryptic response prompted discomfort. While not direct evidence, the anecdote adds weight to suspicions. The factory itself is presented as eerie and isolated, an image of psychological detachment. Technicians recount discovering storage devices containing graphic imagery, though none were confirmed to show Madeleine. The documentary acknowledges that to date, no conclusive forensic link has been established between the factory's contents and Madeleine's disappearance. Still, German authorities, who named Bruckner a formal suspect in 2020, have stated they possess evidence supporting the theory that Madeleine's life may have ended shortly after she vanished. As of mid-2025, no charges have been filed in connection with the case, and Bruckner continues to deny any involvement. The documentary, while compelling, ends on a note of ambiguity. The evidence is powerful, but incomplete. The puzzle, nearly 2 decades old, still lacks its final piece. In 2025, 18 years after the night that changed everything, Kate and Jerry McCann, now both 57, continue to carry the weight of a loss that time has not erased. Their home in Leicestershire, once filled with the lively chaos of 3 young children, is now a quiet sanctuary, its walls lined with memories of Madeleine and of the twins, Sean and Amelie, now 20. The twins have grown up in the shadow of their sister's disappearance. When news broke of the June 2025 Oldiagle search, the McCanns made no public statement. Their silence was not avoidance. It was self-preservation. The memory of May 3rd, 2007 remains etched in their lives. Kate walking into the holiday apartment to find the bed empty. Her scream, "Madeleine's gone," echoing across the years. The check-in system, the unlocked balcony door, details endlessly dissected, often without compassion. For Kate and Jerry, they are part of an internal narrative of what they thought was safe and what they would give anything to undo. And yet, they have never stopped searching. Through the Find Madeleine Fund, they have sustained public awareness, distributing posters and funding private investigators. Kate continues to attend annual vigils, urging anyone with information to come forward. Jerry remains beside her, quieter, his energy focused on the mechanics of the search. Public perception has never been easy. The early suspicion cast by Portuguese police still lingers in some corners of media discourse. Still, they have endured, sustained, not by certainty, but by the refusal to give up on a daughter who would now be a young woman. For the McCanns, hope has changed. It is no longer the urgent, bright hope of a rescue. It is quieter now, tempered by time, but no less fierce. It lives in the idea that even if answers never come, Madeleine will not be forgotten. The disappearance of Madeleine McCann remains one of the most confounding cases of the 21st century. Was she abducted, as investigators increasingly believe? The unlocked balcony door lends credibility to that scenario, as does the absence of any sign she left on her own. Yet no ransom was demanded, and no trace has ever surfaced. The theory involving Christian Bruckner has gained momentum. His phone connected to a mast near the Ocean Club on that night. His Jaguar was transferred shortly after she vanished, and his journals contain unsettling writings. A comment allegedly made at a music festival, "She didn't scream," continues to haunt the investigation. But how do you feel about this collection of details? Is it a compelling circumstantial case, or a series of troubling coincidences? To some, he remains the prime suspect. To others, a convenient figure pursued out of desperation. The global media spotlight turned Praia da Luz into an epicenter of speculation, blurring fact and fiction. Did the cycle of global attention help investigators or complicate their efforts? The actions of law enforcement, especially in the early hours, also remain under a harsh spotlight for not securing the crime scene and for their early suspicion of the McCanns. Has the focus on Bruckner narrowed the field too much? 18 years on, the case remains a tangled web of theories. The story is no longer just a mystery. It is a mirror reflecting the limitations of law, the power of media, and the resilience of a family caught between hope and history. As 2025 unfolds, the investigation stands at a crossroads. The UK's Operation Grange, launched in 2011, continues with limited resources. At its centre is Christian Bruckner, whose name has dominated headlines since 2020. Prosecutors believe Madeleine is no longer alive and that he may be involved, but they acknowledge the legal hurdles. The evidence builds a circumstantial case, but lacks the irrefutable proof required for a charge. No body, no DNA, no confession. The urgency has grown. Bruckner's prison term for unrelated offences is expected to end in September 2025. His history of disappearing across borders makes his release a pressing concern for investigators. Recent searches in Portugal have so far yielded no breakthrough. Through legal representation, Bruckner maintains his innocence, reportedly asserting that without forensic evidence or a body, no conviction can be secured. Time is running out. The possibility of him walking free looms large. 2025 may prove to be a year of reckoning, depending not on science and law alone, but on the emergence of that one elusive missing piece. Imagine Madeleine McCann at 22. Would she carry Kate's quiet strength or Jerry's unwavering will? For her parents, these questions are daily companions. Their daughter remains frozen in time, a 3-year-old with bright eyes and a distinct coloboma. The balcony door left unlocked, the 50-meter walk to dinner, the moment Kate cried out, all remain etched into their story and into the world's. The legacy of the case is complex. It is one of unimaginable loss, but also of unrelenting persistence. The name Christian Bruckner casts a long shadow. Is he the missing piece, or a diversion from another truth still buried? The McCanns live with questions the world cannot answer. As the screen fades, a voice lingers, calm and clear. If you know anything, speak now. Then silence, and a final, unspoken question. Will the truth about Madeleine McCann ever be known? Thanks for watching. How do you feel about these arguments and theories? Does it give you a different perspective on the case? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to receive the latest notifications.